I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, January the 15th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a telithromycin injection, basically a generic Draxin. It has proven efficacy at an affordable upfront price. End of story. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards, don't forget, Joplin is not open today because of the bitter cold weather and the conditions out in the feedlots and stuff. They canceled the Monday sale last Wednesday, and it was a good thing that they did. I mean, you think some of these barns are aggressive, they want to just keep having sales no matter what. Well, Joplin realized it was going to be dangerous and it was going to be miserable and probably going to affect the market, so there was no need to have this sale on Monday. They will be open Wednesday for weigh-up cows and bulls, and they've got a special cow and bull sale coming up January the 24th. They'll have a lot of replacement stock on that sale, so don't forget, Joplin is closed here on today's Monday regular feeder cattle sale. Will not be having it at all. There was no global warming rallies over the weekend. If global warming is your platform, you had your head down this last several days here. So Bill Gates and some of them that think that the world's coming to an end, mostly because of cow burps and farts, they're not talking about it. They don't talk about it in the winter time. And so it was miserable cold. I mean, record-breaking cold, miserable cold, bitter cold, windy, snowing, drifts. You get the road cleared out, you go down it, you turn around, look back, and it's closed up again with drifting snow. But just really miserable out there. Producers have been miserable trying to take care of their cattle, doing the absolute best that they can. No PETA people around to help feed or break ice or any of the things that you need to do in this kind of weather patterns. But it's just as bad as we've seen it in many years. Most of your sales are going to be canceled here middle part of the week, early up to the middle part of the week. Oklahoma National Stockyards is closed this week. Both Monday and Tuesday will not be having a sale. OKC West has moved their Monday and Tuesday sales to Wednesday, so instead of selling cows and bulls on Monday and calves on Tuesday and then feeders on Wednesday, they're going to be selling all classes of cattle on Wednesday this week. So be sure to check that out. Russell Livestock Market in Russell, Iowa was planning on having a big special here on Monday. They have canceled that sale. So be sure to check your schedules at your local sale barns if you're planning on going to the sale. Of course, surely if you plan on sending any cattle to the sale, but I wouldn't think this would be a good week to sell cattle, people. The places where they go, the outlets where they go, and I know that you're not enjoying taking care of them right now, having a hard time keeping them watered, keeping them warm, keeping them fed, and they're losing weight like crazy, but this is not a good week to market them because those outlets are clogged up where those cattle go. The background yards, the feedlots, those cattle are going somewhere, and those people are having the same kind of hell that you're having, and it is not a good week to market your cattle. Maybe later in the week, if it looks like the weather is going to open up early next week, it might be good. But first 3 days of this week, there's not going to be many sales around. Maybe further up in the northern plains, where they're more used to it, and it hasn't been such a shock to them. They're going to sell cattle, but it's just not a good week to do that, especially in the lower half of the United States where this has been quite a shock to their system. I mean, even down into South Texas, it's been well below freezing and staying that way, and they're having a hard time taking care of their cattle. And of course, their water lines are only about 6 inches deep, so they're having a lot of trouble with those freezing up. You would have thought they'd redone them after the Snowmageddon there several years ago, but of course they've been too big a job to do. But it's really rough out there. Extremely light slaughter again last week because of the storms coming in, and now our slaughter, of course, it's only 2 weeks old, but year to date we're already down 10.2% compared to a year ago, and we're going to have to really get with it to pick up after that. Had extremely light marketing and negotiated fed cattle trade last week. Again, it was that way before the holidays, during the holidays, and been that way ever since. But it's just, you know, the conditions out there are really, really tough, and you're dealing with live animals. It's just a tough way to serve the Lord here whenever you got conditions like this. But it's really too bad that we can't have our regular Monday feeder cattle sales, especially our high volume sales on Monday here, because it is a rare day off from the CME cattle futures. It's MLK Day. CME is closed. So once in a while you get a Monday where it's closed like that, but business is still going on, and you don't have to worry about the futures market messing with your trade. But we're missing this opportunity here on this Monday with your futures closed. But for last week, February live cattle futures, Monday was down 62, Tuesday was up 82, Wednesday down just 2 cents, Thursday up $1.05, and Friday down 42 cents, with your February live cattle futures ending the week at 171.37, up 80 cents for the week. April ended the week at 174.17, up 77 cents for the week. January feeder cattle, Monday was up 75, Tuesday down a dime, Wednesday up 85, Thursday up 165, and Friday up 30 cents. So up almost every day, and some of them sizable. Your January feeder cattle ended the week at 226.57, up 345 for the week. March ended the week 355 higher at 227.70. March corn, all your grains were down big last week. March corn 447, down 13 3/4. January beans 12.05 3/4 cents a bushel, down 44. Kansas City hard red winter wheat from March 6.15 1/4, down 12 3/4. So rough week in the grain pits there. Fat cattle trade up through Thursday of last week, we had only sold 22,700 head in your 5-area feeding region. It's just dwindling and dwindling, and I know the winter weather is making it even tougher, but we're just not seeing enough negotiated trade to really have any kind of price transparency or finding a market at all. But in the 5-area feeding region last week, fat steers and heifers sold from 170 to 175. That was steady to $2 lower, but actually your weighted average up through Thursday was 174.32, and that was about 30 cents higher than last week. But there was no Southern Plains trade to speak of, hardly at all, which pulls that back down. Dress sales ranged from 272 to 275. That was about $1 lower on the price spread there. And your weighted average, since most all of your dress trade is in the north, that was normal, and your weighted average was 273.63 on dress steers, down about $1.15. So just not much happening out there. The conditions are making it rough. I do think this big storm will help the market as soon as we get things open back up. Of course, the cattle are going to be carrying a lot of tag on them. Cattle have lost a ton of weight the last week or so, and you know, it's not good for the bottom line on your cattle feeders, but it could help the market levels a little bit. Friday we had a little bit of trade, a little more trade than what I just told you. Iowa sold 400, only 14,100 for the week. Your live sales in Iowa on Friday were 172.5 to 174, and dress sales from 272 to 273. Nebraska sold 2,400 on Friday, just under 11,000 for the week. Live price on Friday was 173. Dress trade from 273 to 275. Kansas actually sold 1,500. It only sold 2,000 for the week. 172 was the southern price on minimal trade there, and that was mostly steady to $1 lower. Texas sold 1,700 on Friday at 172. Box beef cutout values have come back. That's one thing that the cold weather did. You know, your wholesale buyers there, they may not understand that there's tight supplies of market-ready cattle around and things like that, but they know how cold it is, and they know whenever the plants are shut down and they're not able to process meat, and it will spur them up into getting some things bought, and they need to replenish their shelves after the holidays. So your weighted average on last week's trade on your box beef cutout values on choice All of last week's trade, your weighted average was $4.59 higher, with a weighted average choice cut price at $283.44. And your late Friday sales were a lot higher than that, $6 higher than that at $289.25. Select gained more than that. Your weighted average on last week's select cuts was up $7.17 compared to the previous week's weighted average at $266.18. Your late Friday sales on select are about $5.50 higher at $271.85. So really a pretty good week for your cutouts. With the storm, surging those a little bit. Your choice select spread has been narrowing like crazy because your choice ribs been down so much. But 17.26 on the choice select spread on the weighted average. Had 610 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings, which is not bad for your spot trade. Slaughter last week 549,000. That was 2,000 less than New Year's week. With not even a holiday in there, but just so many plants having a curve back on their slaughter. And that 549,000 was 112,000 less than the same week a year ago. Running way behind, guys. Talk about what else is going on. NationalBeefWire.com, which is affiliated here with DVAuction and the Feeder Flash, but that is your place to go for markets, for industry news, and for the Feeder Flash. We have a electronic newsletter that comes out every day. Will be in your inbox if you sign up for it. But check out NationalBeefWire.com. Talk about your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 225.70. That's based on an 800-pound cash auction steer with dwindling receipts again because so many sales were closed and had lighter receipts. But that RTI was down 326 for the week. CME cash feeder cattle index, the latest available, was 228. Not a real good trend out of your auction markets last week because they were not well tested and there was so much effect from the weather. Roads were closed and couldn't get cattle out of there, and a lot of sale barns had to cancel their sale with cattle in the pens, which I hate to do, and sell them at a later time. But just not very many good market tests last week. Your National Beef Wire stick-out sale of the day for late last week or over the weekend was Sterling Livestock Commission, and that's in Sterling, Colorado. That was on Saturday. They were having one of their stock show specials there that a lot of those markets around Denver have this time of year. But check out this automated market report from Sterling. And you see your best tested weights, 248 head of 4-weight steer calves, average 476 at 335.14. 356 head of 5-weight steers, average 572 at 298.64. Pretty good for as heavy as that weighted average weight was. 196 out of 6-weight steers, average 649 at 266.10. Look at the heifers, which are a little bit heavier than the steers on the test. 248 head of 4-weight heifer calves, average 451 at 301.47. 533 head of 5-weight heifer calves, average 549 at 271.15. And 228 head of 6-weight heifers, Sterling, Colorado, average 638 at 228.82. I'm going to give you several individual quotes from around late last week and over the weekend. Winter livestock auction on Friday in Winter, South Dakota. They sell 150 steers, weighed 769 at 251.25. How about Magnus Livestock Market, Huron, South Dakota? They sell 66 steers, weigh 676 at 271.50. Weighing in the upper sixes, guys. That's really good. How about Fort Pierre Livestock Auction in Fort Pierre, South Dakota? Didn't bother them up in South Dakota. They're used to this kind of weather. How about 95 steers, weighed 585 at 303, weighing 585, guys. And then go south of the weather. How about Santa Teresa Livestock Auction? Santa Teresa, New Mexico, right there on the border. These are Mexican cattle that have already come across selling into the United States. 79 head of little stockers, weighed 431, steers at 276.50. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend, And your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day was Lexington Livestock Market in Lexington, Nebraska. Sell 121 steers, weight 815, bring 244. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.